Jay, that's strangely close to Daniel Jones from the Giants. Daniel, is that you? Beat the Chiefs. Show me. If the Broncos and Russell Wilson can show me that they can beat the Chiefs, then I will start believing.
The crowd up. And so are this defense, and Kansas City won't snap the ball again. The Denver Broncos have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs.
David Montgomery on the Lions, former Bear, gonna make this his revenge game for sure. David Montgomery gets the touchdown that ices the game. No! And there's a flag. There's flags. There's flags. There's flags. There's flags. Snap. Hold. Kick.
Denver wins! Denver wins! Let's go!
They open. No!
What happened? Oh shit.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Only Football Podcast. Tonight, we are talking Week 16 predictions. What's going to happen these last 3 weeks of football? It's going to be super entertaining. We're also going to talk about a little controversy going on with Rashard Mendenhall. I'm sure you guys have heard. We're going to say our piece on that. And of course, we're going to end it off with the little chives with Kyle. Let's get it.
What's going on? Welcome to the Only Football Podcast. My name is Kyle, and ladies and gentlemen, this guy right here, his name's Rick.
I'm Rick. That's Kyle.
I thought if I switched it up a little bit, maybe I could get you.
You did.
We got 1, 2, 3 more weeks of football. And somebody asked me right before I jumped on, I was driving a long trip, and you try to get in phone calls so you pass time.
Mm-hmm.
He was like talking about if this season is like, do you move off of Russ? Are you happy with this season? And I said simple, we are playing meaningful football in December.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are a fan of a team that is playing meaningful football in December, it's a great start.
Yeah.
And we have a ton of teams that are looking to maybe make that type of leap. I think there's multiple teams that have already won this season, Houston, regardless if they make the playoffs or not.
Colts, too.
But the Colts, Texans, Broncos, a lot of these teams that are in the hunt, in my opinion, already won the season.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's a lot of work to do, but a couple of these teams are going to not just settle for a good season. A couple are going to squeak into the playoffs. And we're here to try to break down who those teams are going to be, because it's anyone's guess at this point. The AFC is totally up for grabs. And that's why the first game that we're going to talk about is really important, because it's a divisional match between two teams that right now are in the playoffs.
Yep.
Or one of them on the outside. I think Pittsburgh on the outside looking in. But I think they're one or two seeds behind. I mean, this game is huge.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this is a big game for sure. Bengals at Steelers. And this is, I think someone in the last stream, Crafty, if I'm not mistaken, one of our subscribers, one of the guys is always in the comments. 6 games this week, or I think it was 6 games or 3 games, 6 teams total are going to have backup quarterbacks. And this is one of those matchups. The Bengals have Jake Browning, backup quarterback to Joe Burrow, the JBs, if you will. And the Pittsburgh Steelers have got Mason Rudolph in for Kenny Pickett, who was who was replaced by Mitch Trubisky, who is now replaced by Mason Rudolph. So we have Mason Rudolph leading the Pittsburgh Steelers at home to hopefully try to get a dub. And we have Jake
Wave those
Browning.
terrible towels because it's going to be terrible.
It's going to be terrible. And we got JB version 2 with 3 wins in a row going into the Steel City to try to get this dub. Kyle, I'm going to say it. I'm glad you broke your elbow. No, the Bengals and the Jake Browning experience are going to win this game in Pittsburgh. The Bengals are going to cement themselves into a wild card berth with this game because this is a big game for both of these teams. And the Steelers, I believe at that point will have if they lose it, they will have a 7-8 record, which is only 1 game away from having their first losing season under Mike Tomlin. But I'm taking Jake Browning. I'm taking Joe Mixon. I'm taking the reemergence of T. Higgins against the Steelers on Saturday.
You know, I'm getting to the point where I'm like desperate for certain things to happen, to the point where I can't even tell if I am so like, when they say think with your heart or your head, not your heart.
Yeah.
Well, like when your team's in the playoffs, tell me you don't believe without a shadow of a doubt that you have a chance to win that game.
Oh
like
yeah.
Something changes where like you can separate it, but then as the stakes get higher, it becomes really just one thing. Your head and your heart collide. And that's what's happening to me, I think, because I'm taking the Steelers.
Ooh.
I'm taking the Steelers, and I know that part of it is because the Steelers, I believe, are the worst of these two teams.
Mm-hmm.
So I need the Steelers to get a win because I believe that they will continue to lose, if that makes sense. This is a game where if the Bengals win, they could really, they could be that playoff team. And if you don't expect Buffalo to lose, we're out of spots. We need the Bengals to lose. So Mike Tomlin at home, it's going to be an atmosphere because it's a divisional game. It's not just any game with Mike Tomlin at home. It's a divisional game. I think this defense is going to be playing. I don't know what the weather's going to be like, but I know for one of the games we're going to talk about a little bit later, there's snow, a lot of snow forecasted.
Yeah.
We're getting to that time of the year where we have to really start looking at it's not the snow, it's the wind that comes with it that really makes games difficult. So I'm going with the Steelers. I think this is going to be an ugly win.
Yeah.
I'm going 16-14 Steelers.
Oh, scores. I like this. This is going to be an ugly game. I can totally see that. And I've got the Bengals winning, but I'm going to give you a cleaner score. I'm going to give you 21-10 Bengals. They're going to win by 2. They're going to win by 2 scores here.
Yeah, we'll see how Mason Rudolph holds up. This is Mitch Trubisky to me is a better option. I'm just going to say, like, I know he's bad.
It might be, yeah.
But Mason Rudolph, like, if what he is. Like, if he was better than Mitch, he would have been number 2 on the depth chart, not number 3.
Yes.
And I know that's not always true. Like, Brock Purdy was 3, but when you have been in the same place for 10 years, that's different. Everyone knows who you are.
Yeah.
They know what your limits are, and they still put you at 3. I don't know. But I also just don't like his face. So, like,
I remember you saying that. Like, I just do not like it. He has a very, very smashable face. Yeah, I get it.
Like the kid that plays the bully in high school that like throws you in your locker and thinks you're funny, and you're like, man, why doesn't someone fuck this kid up? And then,
all right, gets a pipe to the fucking dome. Like, yeah,
yeah, Rick, he gets violent.
Sorry.
Our next game is another Saturday football game. You got the Buffalo Bills going into LA. Buffalo's feeling good about themselves right now, going in to LA to take on the Chargers, who just got crushed. They got destroyed. It was not pretty. 42-0 at the half. And this is a game that everyone's predicting that the Bills are going to just crush the Chargers. And I got news for you. The NFL doesn't work like this. This is not.
No?
We've been watching this long enough to know that this is not how it works.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I took the Chargers plus 12.5.
Wow.
They're not getting crushed in this game. I'll tell you why. Number one reason why is because that rarely happens in the NFL. And normally when it's being predicted to happen, that's when it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Mahomes and the Bills play, and the over-under is at like 60, and they score like 48. Like it's like 21-24 every time they play.
Yeah.
This is another one of those scenarios for me because they just fired their head coach, and you know how I feel about that juice. Whenever a team fires their head coach, the team plays more inspired, and they come out. I think the Chargers at home, not that home field is an advantage, but I think that the Chargers are going to play very inspired under I forget his name, the interim coach, but
yeah,
I think they're going to play inspired. I think they're going to be ready to play. I think the Bills are coming off of a couple wins now.
Smith.
Yeah. A couple wins now that have been really emotional. They've been on the winning side of them. But, I mean, you had the whole thing with Kadarius Toney, and last week you had Dallas. And they seemed to have no problem with Dallas, and they ran the football. I think Josh Allen only threw the ball like 7 to 9 times or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm saying wear and tear by any means. I'm just saying that this is a trap game. Whenever you win against the Chiefs and the Cowboys and it's that easy, and now you're going to go all the way across the country, go back in time, I think the Bills are going to win, but I think this is a game in the fourth quarter.
Oh, okay. I like that. So you're taking the plus 12 for the Chargers. Okay. I like that. I am also going to go with the Bills win. And, kind of hearing you say that, talking about that, the whole interim thing kind of got me thinking too, right? Like maybe this is more of like a spark for the team too. Like, yes, their season is basically in a toilet. There's nothing much to play for anymore. Your head coach got fired because of the way you played. Like that's a big kick. I feel like to the ego. It's like you were so bad. The head coach and GM got fired because of your play.
Absolute
dog shit. You gotta love it. So I am taking the Bills to win this one, but like you said, it's gonna be a closer game. Now the thing is, Easton Stick, I believe, is gonna be in this game instead of Herbert. So right off the bat, the offense I feel like is gonna struggle.
But right off the bat, I think the offense is gonna go deep. Intercepted.
I feel like we're gonna say that quite a bit, or we're gonna see that quite a bit
we will.
In this game against the Bills. And the defense for the Chargers has just been bad overall. They have some players there. They somehow have like big names like Khalil Mack, Derwin James. All these guys, they just can't get it done on the defensive side. They let up so many points, so many yards. They're just like overall bad, right? And so the Bills, with what they did with James Cook last week, with the fact that, Josh Allen, a guy who they've looked to win games, that they've looked to drive their offense through 9 times. And, he did rush with his legs. He's got quite a few touchdowns on his legs this season. I think they're just going to be able to spread the ball like that, man. I really do think this offense is going to get into like this well-oiled machine type of rhythm against the Chargers. And if it doesn't happen, then it won't happen. But I still think, just like you said, the Bills are going to take this dub, and James Cook feel like might have another big game. If not on the ground, he might be elusive enough for some dump offs, get some 25, 30, 40 yards and a couple scores. I'm taking the Bills here 30-14.
Oh, okay. I think a lot of predictions are almost that lopsided. I mean, this would be a huge game for the Chargers, but really Austin Eckler needs to get involved. Austin Eckler has not been a factor. I mean, you saw what the Bills did to the Cowboys without even throwing the ball when you have a running back that's, running for 160 and 2 touchdowns. So, I mean, Austin Ekeler, man, he's a really talented back. And I know they're super banged up. I don't know if it's on the O-line or not. I don't follow them that close, but if they could, I know Austin Ekeler is better than what we've been seeing. I know that.
Yeah.
So if they could try to find a way to just make him a part of the game plan, and really the only way to do that is you got to have 2 wide receivers playing good, because you can man up Keenan Allen and then put 2 backers on Ekeler. And if you have no other threat, no one really cares. Who's going to be that other wide receiver to step up so that Ekeler can get involved? It hasn't been Quentin Johnson. It hasn't been some of the other guys that have stepped in. And I know they're like super low on depth, but this could be a really, they just got embarrassed. When you get embarrassed, like,
yeah,
we beat the Bears the week after we were beat by, 70 points.
Yeah.
And we were losing that game too.
Mm-hmm.
So there is, I do think that, the Cowboys got embarrassed. They won right away. There's something about that. I think there'll be extra juice. This is a major kind of upset, but it's not an upset. It's just, I'm predicting close game, but I totally get where you're going. Maybe we'll agree on this one. The Falcons going to Indianapolis to take on the Colts, and the Falcons are the favorite. And I get it that they have
no, they're in Atlanta.
Oh, they're in Atlanta. Yeah. That's what I was saying earlier, because the Falcons do play better at home.
Yeah.
But they're a lot more talented, but I don't trust this Falcons team. And the Colts, although they haven't been great, they have proven that they'll score about 30 points every game. I don't think the Falcons can do that. Colts.
Yeah, this one was easy for me too. And Jinja is going to love it, because I've also got the Colts winning, even though they're in Atlanta. It just, the talent seems to work better on the Colts side, with Pittman, with Downs, with Taylor, with Zach Moss, although I believe a couple of them are having some nagging injuries. But you have Gardner Minshew there to kind of settle everything down, right? So it just seems like you said, they're putting up a ton of points, and the Falcons struggle with that. They struggle. And I think the biggest thing is the play calling. Another team with a ton of talent on their side that is just struggling because of the coaching staff and the game plan. They are starting Heineke this week against the Colts, but really, man, at this point, like, it may not make that much of a difference on the offensive side. Heineke, we've seen him come in to games, as a backup, spot starts, things like that, and be able to, create a spark in teams. But the Falcons, like, if that can help Bijan Robinson get more than 7 fucking carries in a game, if that can help Drake London get more than 5 looks in a game, and even their tight end, right? Like, will that be the spark that really gets the Falcons going? I don't know about that. It's the coaching staff, it's the game plan, and whatever the fuck Arthur Smith is doing there in Atlanta that's really having the Falcons shooting themselves in the foot. The Colts have a high-powered offense. Yes, their defense isn't amazing, and they let up a ton of points as well. But when you're in a shootout and you got Gardner Minshew playing the way he is, and you got wide receiver weapons, tight end weapons, running back weapons that the Colts have, like, it's looking like the Colts are going to go into Atlanta and take this by, I don't know, maybe like 10 to 14 points. I can see that. I can see the Colts almost playing down to the Falcons in terms of scoring, but still winning by 2 scores.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think that they could win by 2 scores in this game. I don't think it happens, though, just because Atlanta's at home. But it would not surprise me the least. So looks like we're on the same page, and this next game looks exactly the same. I didn't mean to rhyme. But look at this. Doesn't that just like, did I just type Packers versus Packers? We got the Panthers versus Packers. Panthers at home. Green Bay travels. This is a great spot for the Packers right now. But the Panthers have been playing good the last since they fired their head coach. The Panthers have been playing good football. The Packers are supposed to win this game, but they were supposed to win against the Giants, and then they were supposed to win against Tampa at home. Reed has stepped up for them. He's definitely a playmaker, but Christian Watson hasn't practiced yet this week, so he's doubtful to make the trip. And I think the Packers are really struggling without him. And the Panthers are trending in the right direction. So I'm going to take the Packers, but it's only by 3.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Damn. I would not expect such a close game from you for the Packers, but you were 100% correct. They were supposed to win this one. They were supposed to look better. And, you know, the loss of Christian Watson last week, we both said it. It's like, it definitely made a difference in that offense. And yet Jordan Love still played pretty damn well. Like that was the crazy part. And what happened with the Packers? The biggest question for the Packers is what defense is going to show up for them. What is the defense going to do? Again, they're missing Jaire Alexander for 6 games straight. That's a huge blow to the secondary, which has been getting cooked recently in terms of just offenses against them, right? They like the loss of Jaire Alexander on their best receiver is causing just other teams to be able to spread the ball around in the passing game. So it depends on the defense, right? And Tyler Fink knows exactly what we're talking about here. It all depends on the defense of the Packers and what they do. The offense seems to be not a well-oiled machine, but it seems to be very, very effective in what, you know, LaFleur and Jordan Love and all these guys are trying to do. So Jordan Love doesn't have an issue. It's really the injuries that's kind of killing the Packers and setting them back a bit. And, you know, for the Panthers, even at home, you got 45-cent tickets up for sale. The crowd isn't even the stadium isn't even a quarter full 20 minutes before the game. That's how you know how bad this Panthers team is.
That's how you know how bad their fan base is.
And their fan base. But to be fair,
nope.
When you put on a shitty product on the field,
doesn't matter. You go and you watch it.
We're gonna argument of the week with Kyle and Rick. Oh geez, know that.
I watched the Broncos 70-point game happen in front of me. So
yeah, but the Broncos got Russell Wilson. They got Sean Payton. That's prime time.
Bryce Young, first overall pick.
And they had to fire their head coach after 8 games or whatever. Anyway, the Panthers, bad team. They only scored 3 field goals, one of them being the game-winning one against the Falcons last week. Like their offense with Bryce Young, again, we say this like week in and week out. Could this offense work with a DeAndre Hopkins at wide receiver 1, or DJ Moore, who they had before they traded to the Bears as a wide receiver 1? You're talking about Thielen, and you're talking about what is it? Is it Chark there? No, Chark's not there.
Reed?
No, not
Adam
Reed.
Thielen?
Adam Thielen, and there was like another guy, like something Marvin. I forget his name.
He was a Jaguar.
He was a Jaguar. Yeah. So those are your 1 and 2. You know what I mean? Like it's a tough sell right now to be a Panthers fan, to want to go watch this and to bet on the Panthers to win. I'm taking the Packers in this one, and yes, it's also probably going to be a close game. Although I think it's going to be by a touchdown. And it's probably going to be like 14-6, 14-9 or something like that, if we're being honest with the Panthers offense.
So you got to be in a close game too as well. So
yeah, because the defense for the Panthers, they've got some players on there. Chenault Jr. That's another guy. Yeah.
And DJ Chark is who we were thinking of.
Oh, it was Chark. Okay.
You were right. Ladies and gentlemen, mark this moment. 20
iPhone, me being right, both worth something.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, I mean, I'm rooting for the Packers because the rest of their season is pretty cake. I mean, this is a great game to win, and then you get more healthy going into the playoffs. And who knows, if Jordan Love can have a big game in this game, all of a sudden we're like, oh, wait a minute, Packers are 8-7, and upcoming is games with the Bears and Vikings. If they win those games and Jordan Love looks like he did against the Chiefs and some of those other games where they were really streaky and they looked really good, then all of a sudden you're looking at the Packers as a playoff team. They lose this game and they're done.
Yeah.
So there's a lot at stake in this game. And the fact that it's the Panthers, the Packers are being served a perfect platter for exactly the kind of game that they need to have to make the playoffs. And it's going to be up to the Packers to eat it. Just like a similar game we're going to get to in a little bit, but we're not there yet. So let's move on to the Texans at home against the Browns. CJ Stroud, like I said, trending towards missing the game in concussion protocol. And then the Browns winning 2 of 3 with Joe Flacco. And
yeah, I think so.
Joe Flacco's Joe Flacco. This is a great defense, and Joe Flacco's doing enough to bring this team to victory over the people that had been there, but it's still Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
And I know it's a great story and everything. I'm ready to pump the brakes on this whole thing. Give me the Texans at home.
Woo! Shit!
Case Keenum, by the way.
Yeah.
Did you know that since Manning retired, every quarterback that served for Denver is starting right now besides Brock Osweiler? Trevor Siemian is in New York.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Case Keenum in Houston. Teddy Bridgewater would be another one. He's behind Minnesota. Drew Lock is in Seattle.
Yeah.
And Joe Flacco is with the freaking
Browns. Yeah.
That's like the whole quarterback carousel is starting right now in the league. It is mind-blowing. I just had to say something about it.
And Jay Cutler is somewhere doing something. I don't know where he's at.
Jay Cutler is probably on like TLC or TMZ or something. You know, he was in a reality show, right? With his wife.
With his ex-wife, Kristen Cavallari.
Oh, okay. I thought I was going to have
maybe keep up, Kyle. Maybe keep the fuck up, Kyle. All right. I'm in People magazine every week. All right.
My grandma, when we went grocery shopping, used to grab the People magazine, and then by the very end, she would put it back. So she would read the whole magazine while we shop.
What a gangster.
So cool.
Yeah.
All right. Who do you got?
I just used to eat food, and then that's it. I've also got the Texans in this game at home. This is the first home team I'm actually picking so far in our week 16. I've also got the Texans. Flacco has been doing really well, but we saw him crack against the Bears last week in those first 2.5 quarters. It wasn't until the second half that he really kind of turned it on, and it was for 2 scores, right? And 2 field goals. Like, you had to lead him down to get a field goal to get the win against the Bears, and the Bears almost won on a Hail Mary. You know what I mean? Like, this defense for the Browns is good, but Joe Flacco is going to struggle against this Texans defense. And this Texans defense, look, they're mid-tier in a lot of stats. They're either mid-tier or they're higher up on the bottom tier. So they're not necessarily the best defense that Flacco's going to go up against. Probably, the rest of this season. But we saw Joe Flacco, the interceptions he threw, they were ugly. He was moving around in the pocket a little bit, but dude's a statue. And if your pass rush can get back there, if Will Anderson Jr. can get back there, I believe if he's healthy or not, then this Texans defense can get some damage done. And if you get some turnovers, right, you never know what happens after you get those turnovers. Are they in Browns territory? Can they get a pick six? Can they get a fumble six? Like, this defense, again, very mid-tier, but they're going up against the very old Flacco, who really showed some cracks last week against the Bears. I am taking the Texans at home. It's going to be a tough go without CJ Stroud. Like you said, he's trending towards not playing. And Case Keenum, backup quarterback, he's going to be a backup quarterback. He's going to, not really. He's going to be a backup quarterback, I think.
It's been a good year for backups. Jake Browning, Drew Lock. I mean,
that's true. And Case Keenum, Minnesota, Minneapolis Miracle, whatever it was, not a few years ago. Maybe he can rekindle some of that magic, hold it down for CJ Stroud before he comes back.
All right. Well, you heard it here first, folks. Rick saw Joe do crack and get turned on. That was a really interesting take, bud.
Shit was hot.
Yeah, I think this is going to be potentially. I hope not. I hope not. I just felt like Trump just now. This might be. I hope not. I hope not. I hope that this isn't a playoff game, but this feels like a playoff game. Cleveland at Houston. The Ravens are going to win that division. Houston is fighting for theirs right now, tied with the Jags. This game would be in Houston. This game looks very important on the schedule, and we are both taking Houston, but this is definitely one of the top 4 most important games that's going to take place this week.
Especially in the AFC.
Especially in the AFC. So, man, let's go nobody. I'm cheering for nobody in this game. I wish
Kyle,
they could all lose.
Kyle is really like, dude, please let this be the first tie this season. Please let Case Keenum go in overtime into a tie. I need this.
Well, our next game is definitely not going to tie. I can promise you that. This is the Detroit Lions after coming off that dominant victory over my Broncos, unfortunately. They are going to be playing the Vikings. The Vikings. I don't know what to make of the Vikings team. They're hot. Sometimes they're not. They have they blitz a lot on defense. I think that could be actually a problem for Detroit. Denver didn't do a good job of getting after the quarterback. So Jared Goff made all the right throws because he's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Hot take. Shouldn't be. When you give him time, he can just, Sam Laporta is a huge issue, but the Vikings have, their own guy in TJ Hawkinson. But as much as I think Detroit just blows out the Vikings, I'm taking Detroit to win by 4.
Oh, okay. Like it, like the pick. Yeah, I got the Detroit Lions winning the NFC North this week, week 16 against this Vikings team. The Vikings looked very good with Nick Mullins last week. They looked much better than with Joshua Dobbs and whatever he was doing with the offense, the Pastronaut, if you will. But the Pastronaut has been grounded, and now it's Nick Mullins, former 49ers quarterback. He's been on one other team, I believe, before the Vikings. I can't remember where his stops have been. But they look better. Now, the only thing is, like, Nick Mullins he hasn't really started a lot of games and has done as well as he did last week. So can he replicate it, right? 2 weeks in a row. You I believe have Justin Jefferson back in this game. You got Jordan Addison, you have Madison, you have Chandler there, the other running back. You've got Hawkinson. You've got weapons to throw to if you're Nick Mullins. So you've got options. You got plenty of options to have another good game like you did last week. Now it really just depends. Can you execute twice in a row?
Can he?
No. Absolutely not. And I'm taking the Lions, man. I'm taking the Lions. Sorry for the brain fart there. I was just like, what am I saying next? So for the Lions, the offense, Jared Goff looked so much better last week. He looked so much better, and it was unfortunately against your Broncos. I'm sorry to say, Kyle, but he looked really damn good. I feel like it was more of a Broncos issue than it was a domination. But Jared Goff looked good. He didn't turn the ball over. He was getting it to a lot of his guys. Jahmyr Gibbs was a huge factor, and I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be another big factor in this game. There were some comments and stuff that I had read before last week, that Lions game against the Broncos, where it was like, get Jahmyr Gibbs in space, get him the ball. He's a playmaker. Again, what we say about, Alvin Kamara, for example, Kyron Williams, for example, in this Thursday night football game, like all the things that we say is like, why don't coaches do it, right? Like Alvin Kamara wasn't getting it going, but they were throwing the ball to him, things like that. Jahmyr Gibbs definitely got it going. And if you get him the ball more creatively, like you were last week, Jared Goff has a ton of options to get it to. Amon-Ra St. Brown, like he's got plenty of weapons there. Laporta, right? So I think this offense kind of keeps it going. What they did last week against the Denver Broncos, Minnesota Vikings, their defense is pretty damn good, and especially in the last few weeks, and that's really what's kept them in any sort of playoff talk. But this is one of the weeks where I think that Minnesota Vikings defense is going to crack. I think the Detroit Lions might roll over them. I think I've got the Lions by 10.
Damn. Well, the Vikings, their playoff hopes are slipping away. They've lost 3 of their last 4 now, and Nick Mullins is expected to be the starter. The one good thing is that they did have somewhat good news. Ty Chandler was their first 100-yard rusher of the season. Wow. And he had that last week. Brian Flores' defense couldn't close, but I liked what I saw in the first half in that game against the Bengals. The Vikings were the better team, and I think the Bengals are a pretty good team right now. So, but I'm with you. The way Detroit bounced back against the Denver Broncos, I think you would be kind of dumb to go against that team right now. And if Detroit's going to make any noise in the playoffs this year, their defense is going to have to play more like they did against Denver than what we've been seeing in the last couple of weeks. And I don't think Nick Mullins is going to have a day against that defense.
And dude, if you're a Vikings fan, you're like, you are really at this point, after all the shit talking about Kirk Cousins, you're like, if we had Kirk, we would be in the race for division, and we'd probably be a wild card right now.
Yeah. And if we had Aaron Rodgers, the Jets would be in the Super Bowl.
I love that.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the Jets and Commanders. Let's get right into it. This game is...
Who fucking cares, dude?
Look, the Jets are eliminated from the playoffs right now. Motivation is a factor for them. They're coming off their worst game of the season last week against Miami. I just don't even know what to look to. Rodgers said he's not coming back this year. The Jets pass rush is going to have a crazy game against the Commanders. Maybe a couple forced turnovers. And all of a sudden you look up, because the Jets, on one hand, as much as we like rag on them for being dog shit, every couple of weeks they get a good win. Or not every couple of weeks, every 3 to 4 weeks they get a good win. And it seems like maybe if they could, beat Philly, I mean, but the thing is, you don't trust them, but they're capable with the defense they have. They're definitely capable to getting a win any given Sunday with that defense, especially with the defense they got. So the Commanders, they have a pretty good quarterback, I think, in Sam Howell, and he continues to impress me week in and week out. He's going to throw for 300 yards almost every single week. And the Commanders have the most beatable pass defense in the league. Zach Wilson's going to have a lot of problems having success against it. And the Wilson has had a concussion, so we don't know if he's going to play yet. If he misses it, it creates probably more of an easy dub for the Commanders. I'm going to say that with as much confidence to say if Zach Wilson plays, the Jets have a chance. If he doesn't, Commanders all day. Yeah,
and I think I believe it might be Simeon, right? Like what you said earlier.
Who would have thought we'd be betting on Zach Wilson?
Yeah. I feel like it's like, bench Zach Wilson, start him next week. He goes for 300 yards or some shit, like that. I feel like that's just the recipe for Zach Wilson. You just got to fucking break him down and then give him that hope next week and then break him down.
Military style, break him down and build him back up.
Yep. And I think the Commanders are going to be starting Sam Howell. Even though he was benched last week in the fourth quarter.
Boo. Dog shit. I wouldn't do that.
You said it, though. The Jets defense, they have to have a really good game. They have to force some fumbles. They have to force some turnovers, with some pressure. I think they're going to do just that against this team because the Commanders have one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. Like they're predicted at least in the draft coming up to draft linemen. Like that has to be one of their priorities. Like you're not going to get skill positions. You're probably not going to go for a quarterback because you got that stuff kind of unlocked for the most part. It's your offensive line all fucking day, and it's your defense. That's what you need to really load up on in the draft. The Jets defense actually is going to have, I think, a very, very good game against the Commanders. But just like all season, their offense under Nathaniel Hackett is going to be absolute dog shit. And that's why the Commanders are going to win. Sam Howell's going to start. He is going to be under pressure a lot, but we've seen him under pressure, and we've seen what he can do. He could throw for 300+ yards. He could throw for 3 scores. He can even rush the ball on his own. He can get the offense going, which is something that Zach Wilson, Trevor Siemian, Tim Boyle, at this point, maybe Aaron Rodgers can't do on this Jets team if he was healthy. It'd be tough, but it's also Aaron Rodgers, so don't take that for anything. Again, what's it worth? It's just to me, like, the Jets defense is going to have some success putting pressure, maybe getting a couple sacks, maybe even getting a turnover. But the offense in the NFL drives wins, it seems like right now. That's what it is. And Sam Howell, much better guy offensively than whatever the fuck the Jets put out there at this point. Give me the Commanders, get Scary Terry. What's his name? Brian Robinson, running back, Sam Howell. Their defense is going to struggle too, but they've got a very shitty offense they're going up against. So maybe there's going to be some evenness all around. Shitty offense versus great defense.
Jahan Dotson's going to have a big game.
There you go. Jahan Dotson. You heard it here first. Kyle saying Jahan Dotson, 6 touchdown catches. There you go.
We got Sauce lined up on Scary Terry.
Mm-hmm.
Dotson goes off.
Dotson and Curtis Samuel even too. Curtis Samuel's been having some good games. Yeah,
he definitely has been. And we have right here from Nick, I still think the Chargers had the potential to make a deep playoff run, but Staley screwed them by rushing them in the final weeks and getting Mike Williams hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Leave it to Staley, man. Leave it to Staley. The Tennessee Titans are at home. It's all backwards.
The home team
that the Tennessee Titans are supposed to be on the right, but it's formatted backwards. Tennessee Titans at home against the Seahawks. The Seahawks coming off a really impressive win that involved a dramatic walk-off touchdown from Drew Lock to JSN. It's all the young guys that Seattle's been drafting really well. They have so much talent. If they draft the quarterback from LSU or something like that, oh my God, watch out.
Jesus.
The spread has Tennessee not favored to win this game. No shit. But in Tennessee plays really well. I mean, look at their games in the margin of margin of loss that they have at home. They don't get blown out. Rarely do they get blown out. And that's why you're seeing only 2.5 points right here. Will Levis suffered that ankle sprain last week, which might put Ryan Tannehill back into the game, which is one of the few rare occasions that your backup may be an improvement, depending on how he comes in and plays. This would also showcase Tannehill for like a next team if he does a good job, if he goes out. So he's going to want to have a good game. Tennessee's out of the playoff picture as of right now. But like I said, they're at home. They're a well-coached team. So I don't know if it's Drew Lock or Geno yet, but pass protection is key for the Seahawks. Remember that stat we pulled up about Drew Lock with time to throw?
Yeah.
They need to stop this Titans pass rush and try to mitigate it, because that's one of the things the Titans do well. I almost said do. If Tennessee can constantly pressure the quarterback, especially if it's Drew Lock, I could see the Titans catching Seattle off guard and coming away with a sneaky win, especially this close to the holidays. Merry Christmas, Tennessee. Upset of the week, Titans at home.
Oh, I like it. And this week I am really going with the away teams. I am going with the Seahawks in this one. We got Ryan Tannehill starting. I think Mike Vrabel has confirmed that. And, even after the performance last week by Drew Lock, it really did take a last second, as exciting as it was, right? It took a last minute touchdown to JSN, basically a pretty deep drive. to win that game for the Seahawks. And then it really was on the defense in order to get that interception to really seal the win for them. So still gave the Eagles a shot. But again, Seahawks at the end of the day, what's in the column? It's a dub. Okay. So it's a win no matter what, how you got it. Doesn't matter. A win is a win. And I think I'm taking the Seahawks to win this game against the Titans. It's Geno Smith, which has been confirmed, versus Ryan Tannehill. And the way the Seahawks have been playing, what they have to look forward to, dude, honestly, NFC, it might be 2 NFC East teams and 3 NFC West teams in the playoffs. Seahawks are going to win this on the arm of Geno Smith, Walker, DK Metcalf, JSN.
What if Drew Lock's the starter?
Oof. Well, I mean, it's still Ryan Tannehill, though. It's still Ryan Tannehill. And Henry has just been shit. Treylon Burks has not been a factor. What's his name? The guy they picked up in free agency, the wide receiver. I just said his name earlier.
DeAndre
Hopkins. He's had some games, and then the next weeks, he's like, oh yeah, DeAndre Hopkins is on the Titans. Why the fuck haven't I heard his name all day? That's just what happens with this Titans team. But I love Mike Vrabel as a coach. He is going to coach tough, and he usually always does. But the Seahawks, I got the Seahawks winning this one, man. And the Seahawks are getting that much closer to a playoff berth. They've got some very winnable games, including this Titans games, the last 3 weeks of the season. And the Seahawks know what they're playing for. Pete Carroll knows what he's playing for. Seahawks.
Yeah, Seahawks. And you'll definitely see a lot of that if Drew Horsecock Lock is out on the field, slinging the football like he was on Sunday Night Football. But who wasn't playing good on Sunday Night Football a couple of weeks ago? Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are now only 1-point favorites against the Tampa team that's coming off that impressive win where Baker was the first quarterback to come into Lambeau in December and have a perfect passer rating, all of that. It was a career game, and Tampa's feeling really good right now, and they think the division is theirs to take. Close trip, Jacksonville down, and you got your quarterback and Trevor Lawrence in concussion protocol right now, which means it could be CJ Beathard starting at quarterback. This game's going to come down to whether Baker Mayfield can have success against Jacksonville's defense, who up to like week 5 led the league in takeaways. So they can be a good defense. And I think I don't know about this one, man. I'm a little bit stuck about it. It's just the Bucs played so well last week.
Yeah.
And I just don't know if Jacksonville played well enough versus the Ravens, but this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take Jacksonville because I'm not going to react to 1 week. And I feel like if I took Tampa, it's a little bit of an overreaction. I still believe Jacksonville is the better team, even if Tampa's playing better. I know at any point Jacksonville could start playing better, and that could definitely happen at home.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bucs. I'm taking the Bucs at home, dude. I'm taking the Bucs at home. There's something just attracting me towards picking Tampa Bay and Baker Mayfield and what he's doing with that team. I just hate that I'm picking the Bucs because their coaching, their head coach, more specifically, is just shit. He's just kind of a shit head coach. It's kind of like the Bears, right? Like, yeah, their offensive coordinator sucks, and Eberflus as a head coach sucks, but as a defensive coordinator, he's awesome. But this head coach for the Bucs, I'm forgetting his name right now, and I know his name.
Todd Bowles.
Todd Bowles. Yeah, he's just not a good head coach. And it really is, I would say, like Baker Mayfield that has kept him in it for this long. And Kyle and I were talking about it. It's like, man, I feel like we're not giving Baker Mayfield enough credit. And he's like, no. We do. But when he does badly, he does badly. You know what I mean? And we give him shit, which is obvious, right? Like, this is a week-to-week league. You got to keep up week to week. And that's what Baker Mayfield kind of doesn't do. But I think he's been having an above average season. I'm not going to say he's having a great season. I'm not going to say he's having a good season. He's definitely having an above average season. And especially with what's been going on, the turnover in Tampa Bay, right? Like what has happened since Brady left, right? It's just kind of left with like the leftovers almost, right? A lot of quarterback controversy to go into the season, but at home, man, I think I'm taking the Bucks. Their defense, while mid to low tier, I think against Jacksonville, whatever's going on with Trevor Lawrence, it just seems to keep carrying on to the next few games. So really, it does depend on what Trevor Lawrence is like and what this offense is like in this game in Tampa. But I don't think it's going to improve that much to a win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The defense for the Jags can be good, and there's some days where they just get their shit kicked in. Like that's how it's been going for the defense for the Jags. So Baker Mayfield, I think wins this game, and I think it might be like a fourth quarter drive to win it all at the end.
All right, then you're gonna love this.
Oh,
the Chicago Bears. And I saw this game, and the first thing I thought was Rick's going to be really happy with my pick. Because Rick, Cardinals. I got to tell you, Arizona, baby. No. Chicago's at home for this game. Mm-hmm. I think Chicago in the second half of this season is a much tougher out than the Chicago team in the beginning of the season. And the reason is because they have a top 10 defense now. Montez Sweat is playing really great. I think Chicago with that defense is enough to get the win. I'm taking Chicago to win 19-20.
Oh, wow. What a score. What a score. The Bears at home versus the Cardinals. Very winnable game. And yet, somehow, I feel like Kyler Murray is going to somehow go off. This Bears defensive unit is top 10. They have been really, really good, especially this latter half of the season, which is reminiscent of last year. And when you win the turnover battle, when you sack the quarterback 2+, 3+ times, whatever it was last week against the Browns, and you still come up with a loss, teams were like 40-0 before that happened last week to the Bears. That one loss comes against the Bears and head coach Matt Dogshit Eberflus. So I think that Kyler Murray is going to go off in this game. And yet they've been losing a lot of games where he has been doing really well. But in this game against this Bears defense, when it gets tired in the third and fourth quarter and the offense isn't doing shit because the play caller, Nathaniel Hackett, is pretty bad. That's what's going to happen. Kyler Murray's going to go off. But I've got the Bears winning at home. I've got the Bears taking this dub. And I think this defense is still going to be part of the reason why.
Very nice.
I'm thinking what's going to happen is this game can go down to the wire, like you're saying, 20-19. And I'm thinking that the Arizona Cardinals are going to try to march down the field in the fourth quarter in a 14-17 game to try to at least get into field goal range. And what's going to happen? An interception by the Bears secondary to seal the win, 17-14. And why do the Bears only have 17 points? Because they can't fucking put the pedal to the metal on the offense. Because they're dog shit. That's why on offense. They're like, oh, yeah, our 15 first plays did really well. Cool. Let's just blow it all up in the second, third, and fourth quarter.
All right. The Dallas Cowboys are.
So I got the Bears winning, but I feel like Kyler Murray is somehow going to have like 350 yards and 2 touchdown passes. You know what I mean? So,
well, I like your score prediction.
Something. Yeah, it's going to do something like that. Bears win it though at home.
Another interesting, I guess, point in this game is that the Bears, the line opened up at 43.5. It actually opened up at 44.5, but it got bet down to 43.5. So they're thinking 20-23, and the Bears have actually hit the under of their past 7 games. 6 of them have gone under.
Yeah,
So that's why it got bet under, because the wise guys were throwing. The wise guys are just millionaires, big money.
Yep.
They're throwing on the under. They're like, Bears have been under 6 to 7. So a lot of people are betting on the under. And what was your score prediction? 17-10?
17-14.
That would hit the under as well.
Yeah.
So you're right there in line with everyone. Let's see about this game. This is my game of the week. The Dallas Cowboys at Miami Dolphins. Yeah. We are finally going to get one answer. We will still have, actually, we have 2 questions right now. Mm-hmm. And this game is going to solve both of them, because the Miami Dolphins, their best win is against the Denver Broncos. Strength, like record-wise. That's their best win. And by the way, when they played Denver, they didn't even make that switch yet to being a good team.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can count that. The second best win Miami has is with the quarterback of the Raiders, Aiden O'Connell. Beating Aiden O'Connell. I'm not kidding. Go through the schedule. Go through the schedule. So we still are like, Miami can't beat a real team because they haven't. And then Dallas, we were just saying this about Dallas, but then Dallas got beat by Buffalo. But let's not forget that they just beat the Eagles, but then the Eagles got beat by Seattle. So like maybe the Eagles aren't good and Dallas still hasn't beaten somebody. Well, now we get to have both these teams play each other. And whoever wins this game, it's funny because we're going to say, okay, this is the team that can beat a good opponent. But, but here's the thing. Whoever loses that game, we're going to say they're not good. They can't beat a good team. But we're saying this team is good for beating a good team.
For beating that good team.
But you just said they were a bad team because they got beat. At the end
you
of
ever
the day,
seen that never-ending staircase? That's exactly what it is.
That's exactly what this is.
Yeah.
And newsflash, both these teams are good.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me. The Cowboys and Dolphins are both good. Now, can they win a Super Bowl? Nobody knows right now. Nobody knows. Mm-hmm. But I'm seeing a lot of people try to invalidate these teams because of, their opponents that they're winning against and all that. It is a little concerning for Miami at this point in the season. Here we are at week 16. You would really like to have at least one of those like wins. But remember, Philly didn't have one of those last year and they went to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
If you looked at Philly's whole schedule, it was just like the kind of like the Dolphins this year. I mean, it was nobody. It was a bunch of, and that's why they went 15-1 or whatever, 16-2 or whatever, 15-2, 14-3. Because I forgot Hurts went out and they lost at the end, but still, like the Dolphins, just because they haven't beaten anybody good doesn't mean that they can't go to the Super Bowl in the type of AFC year we're having. Mm-hmm. It almost seems like they would be your top 2 choice right now to make it to that game. And this game is going to be at Miami. Give me the Dolphins.
Happy feet. Give him the Dolphins. Give Kyle the Dolphins. I'm actually going to go Broncos. I'm actually going to go Cowboys. I still think the Broncos could beat the Dolphins too. I'm going to go Cowboys in this game. Again, I'm continuing my mass leaning towards away teams this week 16. I've got the Dallas Cowboys beating this one. I feel like this is going to be a high scoring game. Maybe maybe because the Dallas defense is so good, but the Dallas Cowboys put up stupid points at home and they're away. The Miami Dolphins team is very good in terms of offense, but when they play good defenses, it's like they're not that same offense anymore, right? You said both these teams are very good, and that's right, but we can't ignore the stats, right? Like what happens when the Dolphins play very good defenses? Their offense takes a shit. And what happens when the Dallas Cowboys play away from home? Their offense and their team really as a whole takes a shit. So this game is it's a conundrum. It's an Escher, if you will. Thank you, Bill. It's an Escher, if you will. It's a never-ending staircase of bad team if they lose, good team if they win, but they're a bad team because you like you said, right? We're just fucking running in circles. It's a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's going to happen. I still think the Cowboys are going to win, and I don't know who's going to win it for them. Is it going to be the defense? Is the defense going to show up in an away game? Is the offense going to put up more than the 20 points that they usually put away? I'm not really sure who to pin it on this time, but I just think the Dallas Cowboys team is going to beat the Miami Dolphins team. Tua against this defense for the Dallas Cowboys, they have been dominant all season, man. He's going to be put in a lot of pressure situations, and it really does depend how fast he can get the ball out. Can he wait for Jalen Waddle to get open and throw it, right? Can he get it to Gesicki? Can he get it to Berrios? Can Raheem Mostert and Achane run through this defense as effectively as they have in past weeks? It really is all up to those offensive weapons to see how productive they can be in this game against a very dominant defense. And again, it's the Cowboys away. Can they finally break that, get that monkey off their back, if you will, right? Like, can they finally do that and put up a good amount of points in order to beat this team? I've got the Cowboys in this one, and it might be a lot closer than people think. So I'm going with Cowboys. Again, the away team one more time.
All right, the away team one more time for Rick. And a little cool
I hate you.
Okay, look at this. The Cowboys have covered 9 straight games after a loss. 9 straight games after a loss they've covered, which means they have won. Covered, yeah. I mean, covered can be in a loss as well, but it just means like you get it, right? Like, they're going to lose by 9. The Cowboys only lost by 8, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So the Cowboys have covered 9 straight games after a loss. They're 11-1 against the spread after a loss since 2021. They're 7-0 against the spread since last season and 3-0 against the spread this season. Miami is favorite to win this game by 1.5 points, which I didn't notice that. I thought Dallas would have been in favor. I thought I was like, give me the Dolphins. What? I thought
again, it's because what Dallas does away from home. That's exactly why, I think.
Yeah, and Miami's good at home too. It might be a combo of both. And then the Cowboys and Dolphins are both 9-5 against the spread this season, tied for the best record in the NFL since 2021. And both the Cowboys and Dolphins are both tied with it. The Cowboys are 32-16 against the spread, tied with the lines for best in the NFL. The Dolphins are 0-3 outright and against the spread teams currently with winning records. The stats really line up for Dallas nicely in this game to have a bounce back win. And when you really look at this team, is Tyreek Hill playing? Because Tua is not Tua without Tyreek. And part of me feels like a little bit, and I'm not trying to be different here just to be different, but I do feel like Dallas should be the favorite. And the fact that now I'm seeing that they're not even the underdog in this game, which I do believe matters. It's not that I'm just trying to pick the underdog. It's that an underdog brings a certain kind of mentality into a football game. And you got the Dallas Cowboys trying to get that monkey off their back that they can't be good on the road. I'm switching. Cowboys.
Never before seen mid prediction switch up by Kyle. No, and you're right, man. It's just, again, the whole Tua, no Tyreek thing. It's very, very true. They looked a lot better last week without him. You saw Jalen Waddle and you saw Raheem Mostert kind of go off, as beneficiaries of Tyreek being out. But they did it with, what did we say? Under 300 yards of total offense, which is like an insane stat to look at when you're looking at the Dolphins, right? So, and all the stats lining up for Dallas and just maybe, again, the away stuff, maybe they get their monkey off their back, like we're saying. So, again, and like you said, I think that's why we're going with Dallas. Kyle has joined them boys. You heard it here first. Kyle loves boys. Let's keep
I can't get too attached because I'm in love
with a stripper. She riding, she rolling, she rolling. She climbing that pole, and you're in Broncos country. You're Bronco, let's ride.
Way to ruin the intro with that T-Pain throwback. I was thinking more like Welcome to the jungle. I want to watch you scream.
Oh
yeah. Okay. All right. Serious face. The New England Patriots are coming into Denver, and this is a serious game. That's why we have a serious face, because Denver has to win out in order to make the playoffs. And even if they do win out, there's no guarantee that they make the playoffs unless Buffalo or the Bengals lose a game. Denver still has like a 90% chance of making the playoffs if they win out as it stands right now. Denver's remaining games, who cares? This is the next one. So we're going to look at this one right here. This game is in Denver. This is a much needed home game for the Broncos. 6.5 point favorites. I think that's a little, I don't know. I'm very torn again, but the thing is it's going to be snowing. Okay. That's why the thumbnail had a Broncos Patriots snow game on the thumbnail.
Love it.
And by the way, I remember exactly where I was during that game. That was 2015. And I was watching the DNVR podcast on the road, and they were talking about the game. And they're like, I think that was a holiday game. And I'm like, that's why I should be working there, because no, it wasn't a holiday game. I remember it was, I believe, week 6.
You idiots.
Or no, I think it was week 7. They were 7-0. So too early in the season to be a holiday, but both teams were 7-0. It went into overtime. Brock Osweiler was our quarterback that game. And it was a CJ Anderson run, walk-off touchdown in overtime in the snow. He slid in, and it was an amazing moment, dude. I'll never forget. It was one of my best memories. And here we go with something similar. The Patriots coming into Denver with some snow. And just like that game where both teams were 7-0, this one is going to matter too. Not for the Patriots, but for the Broncos. If Denver can win this game, they're going to get some momentum going against a Chargers team that they just proved they could beat 2 weeks ago. And then it wraps up nicely for the Raiders game week 18, which I think will be the hardest one. But there's a couple factors in this game. I look at Bill Belichick, and Bill Belichick's a really great defensive coach. But one of the things he does best is he's really good at taking out your best player. And the Lions did that last week with Courtland Sutton, and it was a problem. I do think that Bill Belichick is going to have his defense ready to play, and I think their defense is going to play really, really well, which concerns me with the offense. But I do think Denver's going to be able to get takeaways again, which is kind of the missing ingredient during the Detroit game. That's why it was, they won all those other games, but without the turnovers, this offense just isn't good enough. They need those turnovers. It's mandatory, which is fine, because I do believe that this defense is good enough to cause them every single week. So I think Denver is going to get back to their ways, and I'm going to do something I don't normally do.
Poop.
31-7.
Whoa! Blowout, bitch.
A blowout game in Mile High is just what the doctor ordered. We're going to know by halftime who's going to win this game. And I think this is going to be the exact kind of, you don't want to get too high, because then you get caught with your pants down next week. But this is just high enough for us to be looking forward to playing football in January.
Wow. The look ahead game. I love it. I love it. I love it. I am also going to be taking the Broncos. And like you said, I think the turnovers are coming back this week for the Broncos. I think it's going to happen against just bad quarterback play, bad offensive play. Not even to be specific, right? With the quarterbacks, Bill, 100% more than I think just turnovers in general, fumbles, interceptions, turnovers on downs. They're going to try to go for it on 4th down. Denver Broncos defense going to stop them. Again, last week, in my opinion, Sean Payton did not do enough as a head coach to plan for the Detroit Lions. Now, again, we mentioned how badly the Bears beat the Lions, and they went into that Denver game, and we're just like, we are not going to be embarrassed. We are not going to look like this shitty team. And so they went in there with that mindset, and Dan Campbell did his game planning and really did not let up in that game. Right. I think That's going to happen to Sean Payton this week against the Patriots. Like you said, I don't know if it's going to be 30-7 or 31-7, whatever you said, but I could see it being 21-24 to like 7 to 10 points for the Patriots. I think the Broncos are going to win this pretty convincingly. And again, I think their defense is going to be a huge part of it with those turnovers. And I think Russell Wilson throws for 2 touchdowns, and it's going to be to Jerry Jeudy and to Pirine. That's who's going to get the touchdowns. Like you said, can Bill Belichick take away your best player? Yeah, Cortland Sutton. But hey, in order to not be a Jag, like Steve Smith Sr. said, you got to come up when your number one guy is being taken out of games. You got to step it up, and Jerry Jeudy is going to be that guy for you guys this week, stepping it up, grabbing a touchdown pass. Oh, he's got the Jeudy high school jersey. Deerfield Beach, right here, right there. Look at that. Turnover king right here. Right there.
Oh, yeah.
Surtain, Jeudy, Russ. It's going to be an all-team event coming up.
We need a team win. Like, and as much as I agree with Nick's comment here, I hope not. Ooh. I mean, I hope so, but I also hope that the offense holds their own. Mm-hmm. I think that would be such a statement if they could bounce back. And this is what I posted. This was the post-game conference after the Broncos lost to Detroit. And I said, keep your head up. Whether we are going to the playoffs or not, we're going to finish 3-0 and be ready for a big 24 season, or we'll be a dangerous playoff team. Let's go home. We don't stay down anymore. And the more that because that's like raw emotion right after a game. But now that we're almost a full week later, I realize that we have a really great coach in Sean Payton. So it used to be like a sign for more bad things to come when something bad happens. But I think this is part of being a well-coached team, is the ability to bounce back. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And the ability to be like, oh, no. Like, just like after we lost to the Texans, we beat the Chargers. We didn't lose to the Chargers. We had a good game. And then Detroit was a better team. But now it's time for us to once again be reminded that we have a Hall of Fame head coach. And he's going to have our boys ready to play against a New England team that, they play really, really close to a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And even though they have a bad schedule, they're probably better than it. But we are still the better team on the field, and we have the home field. And we might have the better coach at this point. So
at this particular moment
in time, look, I don't give a damn. But yeah, this is going to be an awesome game Sunday night at 8:15 in Denver. And the weather, I'm just going to check it one more time. For Sunday, it's going to be, it's still supposed to snow. And it looks like it's going to snow pretty convincingly, actually. A lot of snow is going to come in. It doesn't say an amount of inches, but we're definitely probably having some, it says AM snow showers. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that's going to roll over into the afternoon. I mean, it's the weather, and especially in Colorado, no one knows what's going to happen, but it would be cool if we had a Christmas, because this is Christmas Eve, man, at 8 o'clock at night. Like, this is a fun game. Mm-hmm. I'm super excited for this game. I'm going to be in all my gear. I'm going to be super excited. And just like Nick said, we're going to ride.
Broncos country.
Broncos country.
Let's
ride. Broncos country.
Broncos country.
Let's ride.
Let's ride.
One more time, Broncos country. Let's ride. Broncos country. Let's ride. All right. Sorry for doing that to your ears. Okay. So I guess we'll just move on to our next game.
I guess we're not going to end with the Broncos. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I didn't think we could move on without just being reminded that
we've definitely gone through some tests, gone through some trials.
Not this week. Not
this week.
Not this week. But let's keep it in the AFC West. Okay. We got the Raiders, who are coming off their biggest win of their entire as a franchise. And they're going to be at Kansas City. Kansas City comes in as a 10-point favorite. Have they even won a game by 10 points this entire year? I mean, the Raiders.
Yes.
Well, yeah, they just won last week by 10 points against the Patriots. That was still close all the way to the fourth quarter. It was a 10-point game. I think they won by 10.
Mm-hmm.
And the Raiders, I'm taking the Chiefs to win, but I don't think the Raiders are going to lose by more than 10. I think that they're going to come in and they're going to play a scary, close game. And everyone's going to be like, holy shit, are the Chiefs trash? And it's like, no, the Raiders had a good game. And the Chiefs aren't the Chiefs that, like, there's not a switch. If there was, it would have turned already. Like, we are at the point in the season where we know who everybody is. We're learning little things about the teams that are in the hunt, Pittsburgh, all those teams. But for the most part, there's no magic potion that's going to make this Chiefs offense look like they did 3 years ago. And I feel like just because it's in Kansas City, we're all waiting for that switch. And I don't think it's coming. I think the Chiefs win this game, but I think it's like 23-17.
Oh, okay. And you said, you're like, have the Chiefs even won a game by 10 points? I was like, yeah, they destroyed the Bears by 31. Off the rip, I was like, yep, they did.
It doesn't count. The Bears were still learning who they are. They were exploring.
The Bears were still learning what to do in the NFL. They didn't understand how to play football.
They were experiencing with Justin Fields.
Exactly, right. Yeah, the Raiders last week again looked again. They played so well they got a coach fired. Like, that's how you know you had such a great week last week in week 15. You got a fucking coach and a GM fired. That's how good you played. But I think the Kansas City Chiefs, for all the shit that they've gotten this season and for really the inconsistencies that they've gone through, I feel like they're still just like, are they gonna dominate? Probably not. They're not going to have another week 3-4 game against the Bears where they're dominating by 31 points, but I still think they're going to get the win against the Raiders. Mason, what's his name? No, not Mason Crosby. Max Crosby is going to irritate Patrick Mahomes. That's what his specialty is. If you saw the show Quarterbacks on Netflix, Patrick Mahomes was highlighted in there, and he was always talking about how Max Crosby would just, after plays, just quick little tap on the shoulder, quick little punch, quick little push after the plays was over. Nothing crazy, but just enough to let him know he was there. He's going to get irritated by him. And it happens every game, every time they play the Raiders, and it's a divisional opponent. The divisional opponents know you best and always play you the toughest. That's just how it goes. But I still think that the Chiefs are going to come out on top. Rashee Rice has just been amazing for this team. And Patrick Mahomes really giving him a number one option when Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Tony, even Travis Kelce sometimes are dropping the ball and not being consistent. Rashee Rice, Isaiah Pacheco, you had McKinnon and Allaire really step it up last week. Like, it is starting to become that next guy up for the Chiefs. And I'm not going to I'm not going to pin this all on the receivers. Patrick Mahomes has looked bad sometimes this year, but he still comes out and gets those wins, like when he needs to. He has had some bad losses, and he has thrown some interceptions. He's thrown some incompletions that were all on him in close games that he could have won. But in this one against the Raiders, I don't care what the Raiders did last week. It was a shit Chargers team. And that coach was blech, and that's why he's gone. Andy Reid, the Chiefs, what they've done in the past and what they continue to do in close games and in seasons where, like Kyle said, we're waiting for that switch to get flipped. They're still able to do that in games, being able to adjust after halftime, even in between quarters. So I still think they're going to get this win against the Raiders. The Raiders, on the other hand, again, great team win overall last week. Aiden O'Connell played well. The defense played amazingly well, and they look like the Raiders teams from 2000 when they had Rich Gannon as their quarterback and they were on their way to Super Bowls, but the only thing standing in their way was Tom Brady. That's what they look like, old school Chiefs, old school Oakland Raiders. Sorry. So they looked really good. But that's not going to happen this week against the Chiefs. The Chiefs have a much better defense. The offense is going to stall. They're going to get to Aiden O'Connell. Aiden O'Connell is not going to do what he did last week or really that whole Raiders team. So I've got the Chiefs winning. And just like you, I think it's going to be another close game. I don't really have a score prediction, but I know it's going to be a close game.
Yeah, I forgot. I just looked down and I was like, I can't believe I haven't showed you guys. Look.
Oh, he's going to show us his wiener. What is that?
You don't see it?
No. I still don't see it.
You can't see it?
Not really. I can't tell what it is. He said, I'm just going to take the sock off. Oh, see, I thought the double zeros were eyes. I was like, okay. What the fuck?
No, I got these at the stadium, and
I thought that was an anorexic Cookie Monster.
I'm like, here I am predicting a game between the Chiefs and the Raiders, and I got these Bronco socks on. And I couldn't care less about it. I'm like, can they both lose? I mean, just look down and see Miles looking back at me like, yeah, I feel you, dog. Like
Kyle needs another tie right now.
What I mean, it's not going to happen in this game. Chiefs are going to definitely win, but this game is going to be on Nickelodeon, so I don't know if they're going to. Yeah, I don't know if they're going to do that animation thing again. But if they do, I'm here for it.
That would be so funny. Just slime happening after a sack or something.
Yeah, just Mahomes bitching about an offsides penalty, like with SpongeBob being the ref, not giving a fuck.
Yeah, and Patrick being like, "That's an interception, Patrick."
Patrick's like, "That's there's a line you can't cross."
Oh wait, is there a line that you can't cross, Kyle?
Yeah, you're not allowed to step over the line anytime the line of scrimmage is set.
Over this line. Just step over that line.
Over any line.
Oh, you stepped over the line.
Step over a line.
You stepped.
And we know with the Raiders game, there's going to be a lot of jokes on the field, but hopefully there's no flags or the Raiders would just pretend they were kidding.
I was just kidding around.
Just kidding around.
All right, William.
All right.
It is time.
Let's do it.
Did I say William? I mean Bill.
I mean William.
The New York Giants at Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles, 11.5-point favorites after showing that they're not playing that great of football right now. Now, Hurts was sick, and I think that was playing into it a little bit. But looking at this game right now, I don't like the Giants. I don't like their odds right now. They're playing consecutive road games, which is always tough. And it's the Eagles. So I know that people are like down on the Eagles right now. They're still probably they might be the 5th best team in the NFC, but that's still good. When you're talking about a Giants team that's towards the bottom 5, not the top 5. So the Eagles are looking to bounce back here, and I think there's a strong case for it. I'm going to take the Eagles here at home.
Why, unfortunately, for Bill?
For Bill.
Yeah. And I'm sure Bill, as well as all Giants fans, as well as all the Paisans, know that the Tommy DeVito show, the Tommy Tuds, the Tommy Cutlets, the show has come to its conclusion. It's the Eagles, man. It's the Eagles all day here. It really is the Eagles going to win this game. They've already clinched the playoff spot. Danny DeVito.
What about him?
No. No. Kyle.
No Danny DeVito miracle?
Danny DeVito miracle.
Yeah, I'm like, what about the Danny DeVito comment? I was pointing. Could you see me pointing right at it? I was like, what about that guy? No Tommy DeVito today? Are you kidding me?
Nope, don't see it. I have no idea what you're talking about. Anyway, ignoring everything Kyle said. Yeah, I've got the Eagles winning this one. They are at home. Danny DeVito, I'm sorry, Tommy Tuds. That offense is having a tough time really getting anything going. And in terms of touchdowns, man, like they can go down the field, they could get game-winning field goals, but man, why is that have to happen? Why isn't Tommy Tuds and Saquon Barkley and Dable, an offensive mastermind, it seems like, and someone who can really adjust to the players he's got? Why aren't they able to score points, right? At one point they went like 2-3 games without scoring a touchdown in like the first half, an offensive touchdown in the first half. Like they went a while without getting any sort of offense going. So it's starting to bite them again. And it's late in the season after all that hope kind of, you uplifted these Giants fans' hope. And now they're just struggling. The offensive bug has hit them again. As far as the Eagles, they're coming off a very bad loss and they're at home. They want this win. Yes, they've got the playoffs all wrapped up, but they still want a division crown. They went to the Super Bowl last year. I think they're more than a team expecting to get a division crown. So I'm taking the Eagles in this one at home. Jalen Hurts has a much better game, but a lot of people are starting to wonder, is Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, are who's the problem here? Does it seem to be the coaching? Does it seem to be, because what happened after that Chiefs game? You guys, you like that shit? I don't hear you guys Chiefs fans. You remember when Nick Sirianni said that? He's 1-3 since that moment. And it seems like Philly
comes before the fall.
Pride comes before the fall. Philly fans getting a little tired of Nick Sirianni. It seems like they're kind of split on what's going on. So I don't know. Is it Jalen Hurts? Is it Sirianni? The tush push seems to work, but the offense starts to become an issue. I am still taking the Eagles in this one. I just think they're the better overall team.
Yeah, and Nick, that is already retired, believe it or not. I came in on overtime and took it away so I wouldn't be tempted, because that temptation is too much for one man to handle. I know that I said that my game of the week was the Dolphins game. My actual game of the week is going to be the Ravens at 49ers. That's right. I have two game of the weeks this week. It's not allowed. It is something that we've made a rule on Only Football. We can only have one game of the week. And I'm just basically abandoning that rule because of how I feel about this game. The Ravens and the 49ers. Did you know?
Yes.
That only one time in the past, I don't know, it was insane, maybe 50 years or something, that the first seed in the AFC and the first seed in the NFC play each other in December. And that is what we have right here. The Ravens, 49ers, the one seeds in both conferences. This is the who's better, the AFC or the NFC? Well, the AFC is better, but the NFC has the better team. So if we're going off one team, probably the 49ers. Now, the Ravens are not favored to win this game. It's going to be in Santa Clara, Candlestick Field. The 49ers are now just look like a team that cannot lose, even if they try to. A team that accidentally is putting up 40 points every single week. I mean, you look up and you're like, oh, the 49ers are having a bad game against the Cardinals. You look back up. They have 40? This is a bad game?
Yeah.
This is a bad game? Like, what are we talking about here? This team is ridiculous. I'm, of course, leaning towards the 49ers here. They get the break of the Ravens playing consecutive road games as well. The 49ers offense is the best in the NFL. Brock Purdy's playing at an MVP level, and this is the win that is going to separate Brock Purdy from everyone else. And that was one of the bets I put in at the FanDuel today, because I said Brock Purdy is going to win MVP, and it's going to be because of a statement win against the Ravens. This is going to seal the deal. If you don't like the Brock Purdy MVP conversations, strap up. because it's about to get serious. And Brock Purdy's looking to be just a 7th round last pick in the draft to win MVP, Super Bowl, and a Super Bowl MVP in his 2nd season. Now, don't we know somebody that did something like that? Wasn't that Mahomes?
I think that was Mahomes.
Was that Patrick Mahomes?
I think it was Patrick.
I don't remember anybody trying to take those awards from Mahomes. I don't think anyone's going to be able to take it away from Brock Purdy either.
But Mahomes had Tyreek Hill. He had Travis Kelce. He's just a statue. He's got
If
all these
Purdy
weapons.
was even
Literally nobody says that.
If he was even a 4th round pick or higher, no one would even be talking about this.
Exactly. Exactly. Look, this is officially my game of the week. We're not letting Kyle break the fucking rules. Hey, everybody, come in. I'm going to tell you guys a secret. Fuck Kyle, all right? He's not going to break the rule. Kyle, look away. He's not going to break the rules, all right? Fuck this guy. That's bullshit. So this is officially my game of the week. Kyle didn't hear any of that. I was whispering to the viewers and the listeners.
What?
So this is my game of the week. Baltimore Ravens and San Francisco 49ers. I have been on both of these teams' balls all fucking year. Me and Kyle had a very spirited conversation about MV Purdy being in the talks and what he's done this season. And when Kyle said this is the number 1 conference versus the number 1 in the other conference, who's better, the AFC or the NFC? The AFC overall is better, but yes, he is 100% correct. The San Francisco 49ers are the better team. Give me the Niners. I will back you up, Kyle, in saying that this is going to be the game where Brock Purdy sets himself apart against a very dominant Baltimore defense and can show, hey, it's not just Deebo Samuel. It's not just CMC. It's not just Ayuk. It's not just Kittle who are the ones getting touchdowns and making me look good. It's me being able to run this offense, identify defenses on the other side, and get it to them in order for them to make plays and make moves to get touchdowns to win us these games. The Ravens on the other side, man, Lamar Jackson, this defense is really good, but Lamar Jackson's offense is a little broken sometimes. His stats do not jump off the page whatsoever, like at all. And really on the other side, neither does Brock Purdy's, right? Like he doesn't have these insane stats. They're both very efficient in what they do. They both put it in the hands of their playmakers when possible. And Lamar Jackson has that little bit of extra athleticism where he can run the ball when he needs to get those first downs. And some might say that might be an edge in terms of who might be the better quarterback. Probably. But guess what? It's Purdy at the end of the day, and Purdy's going to prove it against the Ravens defense on Monday Night Football. Purdy and the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan beat Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson on Monday night.
No.
I was not alive.
No, that is
of course not
how Brady handled it all. He was like the golden child.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this guy.
Mm-hmm.
This guy is awesome.
And he was the last pick. Like what the fuck? Or the 199th, whatever the fuck it was. Like, it's just, I don't know, man. It's insane what we're doing here.
So that's going to be it. That's going to close out the Christmas slate of games. Mm-hmm. And what you couldn't have a better game. I mean, a potential Super Bowl preview. This is going to be the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, probably. I hope not. God, no. But
God, no.
As long as Purdy continues to be as efficient as he's been for most of the year, the 49ers are one of the toughest. No, they're the toughest team in the NFL. So I'm right there with you. All right. I wish we could end on that note, but we can't because there's more football. And our next game is going to be. That's it.
You know what the next game's going to be? Kyle, do you know what's going to be the next game? According to a Mr. Rashard Mendenhall.
Oh.
It seems to be we're going to have an all-white NFL team versus an all-black NFL team. What does that mean?
What
that
an
means,
intro.
That means no Puka Nakua. That means no Pacific Island. No, what's the lineman from the Lions? What's his name? The really good one.
Aiden Hutchinson?
Nope. The lineman, the offensive lineman. Sorry.
Oh, Penei Sewell?
Penei Sewell. None of those guys are going to be in this white versus black NFL game. This is apparently what Rashard Mendenhall
This is where we're at right now.
This is where we're at. No, like, look, and Kyle and I were talking about this beforehand because I brought it up to him. I was like, I feel like we need to say something because this is just such a ridiculous statement by Rashard Mendenhall. And I'll read you exactly what he tweeted out. So on his X profile, I'm sick of average white guys commenting on football. Y'all not even good at football. Can we please replace the Pro Bowl with an all-black versus all-white bowl so these cats can stop trying to teach me who's good at football? I'm better than your GOAT, than your greatest of all time. I don't know where to start with this stuff because Rashard Mendenhall, NFL player, and this is kind of just like, is like us again talking about last week or however long ago it was about Cam Newton or last episode talking about Cam Newton, what he said about Brock Purdy and all these game manager quarterbacks. This is just another ridiculous statement by another ex-NFLer. Again, like Kyle said last episode, these guys have earned the right to say and speak their minds on the NFL because one, they've worked hard enough to get there all through high school, all through college, and then into the NFL. They've worked hard to get there. Rashard Mendenhall was on the Steelers, rushed, was one of the better running backs in his time there too. And, even went to a Super Bowl. But to say something is crazy and as ridiculous as an all white versus an all black, so we can prove we're better than you, it's just ridiculous. It's not even like it's a race thing, I guess, in this sense. But to me, it's just such a ridiculous statement because JJ Watt, and Kyle read this again before we started the episode. What did JJ Watt said? Like, he's having fun with it because he made a joke about it, right?
Yeah, he was trying to not make a big deal about it, and he was talking about how he was basically saying, here, let me just pull it up because with the subject, I don't want to paraphrase anything. He said, okay, so this guy said, ignoring the blatant racism, God forbid a white guy stands up for himself. Now, this is what somebody replied to JJ Watt because JJ Watt commented on Rashard Mendenhall's post and basically said something about
white corners would get cooked.
White corners, yeah, thank you. White corners would totally get cooked. Yeah. Oh yeah, he said we'd get cooked at corner, not gonna lie. Nobody on our squad is covering Tyreek. Yeah. Which is true. I mean, yeah. I mean, you
nobody in general
barely have anybody covering Tyreek.
Exactly.
Least of the one white corner that we have in the NFL. I just don't see it. But so it's funny because it's also an asinine comment, and sometimes the only thing to do is, I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess this guy was mad that like JJ Watt, you are a white superhero, and you are literally in the Hall of Fame. You're going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. You are supposed to be like, hey, what the fuck, dude? Like, stand up for yourself. Don't get punked like that. Yeah. And then this is what JJ said when he said, listen, buddy, we don't need to be offended by everything in the entire world. He said white guys can't play football. I thought to myself, I'm a white guy. I'm very good at football, and concluded that his statement had no validity. Instead of arguing, I had some fun. The end, not the end, just end.
Yeah.
And like, I'm one of those, I don't want to say I try to give the benefit of the doubt, but I definitely need context because we definitely live in a world where, I mean, so if our podcast gets big enough, it'll probably happen to me at some point. Like, it could happen to anybody where they just like pick and choose, like, oh God, that sounds terrible out of context.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
like
absolutely.
because you don't read tone, you don't read sarcasm,
Mhm.
you know, they'll just put the words in front of you and you read it like pretty aggressive because it's kind of an asshole move. So you're like, segregate? Well, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And I'm definitely, and then look,
Mm.
this is where the line ends though. Like you read a comment like that and it's like, I don't even need context. Like
Yeah.
that's not one of those that's like, oh, I maybe could no, like
Satire, maybe? No.
yeah, no, that was just that's just awful. And he
Yeah.
should keep those type of thoughts to himself,
Mhm.
especially because nobody is going to you're not convincing anybody that that's true because people that love football know that there are plenty of white people that are going to go, I mean, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, not just quarterbacks,
Mhm.
Jason Sehorn, Wes Walker, Amendola, Kevin Walter. I
Who's
mean, there's
the GM for the
Brian
49ers?
Urlacher, John Lynch.
John Lynch, one
I
of the
mean,
hardest hitting safeties in the fucking game.
John Elway. It's like, what do you
Yeah.
think, what do you think the NFL was in the 50s? Like, but in all seriousness,
Yeah, yeah.
it was a stupid ass thing to say. And I'm pretty sure if he doesn't regret it, then that's even worse. But I don't know if he had said anything like
Yeah.
publicly since this, but he might have to say something about it, like, or if he just ignored it. But also, who the fuck is Rashad Mendenhall? Like, first off, I know who you are because you were good
Yeah,
enough for me to know you are. But let's
yeah.
not act like this is fucking the all-time great from the Giants, the defense Taylor, um
LT, Lawrence Taylor.
Lawrence Taylor, thank you.
Yeah,
Let's not act like Lawrence Taylor just like got up and said this. You know what
yeah.
I mean? Rashawn Mendenhall said this.
Mhm,
Okay, cool.
mhm.
That's like if like let me think who would be a really good example. This
That
would be like
to me, this is like God, what's the name of the one safety the Bears had? I can't remember his name.
Eddie Lacy came out with
Eddie Lacy.
it's like all right, Eddie Lacy.
If
I mean, who do you think you are? You're better than our GOAT? Like, you're not
yeah.
that great, dude.
It'd be like if Ryan Leaf came on and was like, I don't know, man, the quarterback position seems to be struggling right now. It's like, dude, get the fuck out of here, bro. And you know what's funny about all of this? Rashard Mendenhall, a lot of people are like, who the fuck is this guy? Blah, 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 right? This guy saying this, like about how we're, the white, all white versus all black. His first play, his first touch of the ball in that Super Bowl against the Packers, he got tackled by Clay Matthews and fumbled the ball to turn it over to the Packers.
Oh my
And
god!
people replied with that, and I was like, "Oh no, he just got cooked."
You
It's
just
so
buried yourself alive.
you did, and it's so a couple things. It's funny because I was just talking about Sidney Brown, Witherspoon, Chase Brown, all being from the University of Illinois, playing really well this season with the Seahawks and with the Bengals, respectively, right? Rashard Mendenhall is a U of I grad as well, and he came to the Steelers. I'm like, fuck, what the hell, dude? You had to really ruin it. Anyway, I just feel like this comes right at the cusp of what Cam Newton said about quarterbacks and being game managers and why are these guys MVPs, right? Again, they deserve to be able to talk about this, about, there's certain positions and have certain comments and have certain, sides they're going to take because they played, like I said at the beginning, they played in the NFL. They worked hard to get there. But there's just some things that you're just, that like you said, you're going to regret. Rashard Mendenhall probably doesn't regret it right now, but in the future, he's going to be like, yeah, that was kind of stupid. I was younger. Just say some dumb shit. So
way too old for this shit. But
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah. Also that
growth is growth. But if I'll leave with this quote, which I was told probably at like kindergarten. And this is how dumb this conversation is, that we have to use kindergarten quotes. If it were easy, everybody would be doing it.
Mm-hmm.
If Cam Newton is that upset about what Brock Purdy's doing, then maybe he should come into the NFL. Oh yeah, nobody wants him.
Yeah.
Like, And I don't. It's like you don't want to be rude to people, but it's like you get what you give. Like,
Yeah.
like if you're gonna be a dickhead, like we're gonna have to call you out on that. Like we don't want to. Nobody
Mhm.
woke up and was like, oh man, let's attack Cam Newton or Rashad Mendenhall today. But two people putting themselves in the spotlight, saying things that are blatantly just not true.
Mhm.
And yeah, we won't spend any more time talking about it.
Yeah, and I just don't like that he's just coming at people who comment on how people play football. It's like, dude, you play football, you get to say these comments. Guess what? There's an entire industry based on people talking about your performances. There's
How many
people
white
letting the
guys are wearing
media.
your jersey?
Yeah, man, it
You know what I mean?
doesn't
Like-
matter. Like it's everybody of every race. For example, the only football podcast. You got a Mexican guy and you got a white guy. Like we are able to comment on it because we spend money on gear, we watch the games, we bleed, Bears and Denver orange, you know what I mean? Like we do that. That's why we have this, platform to do it, So if you don't like it, turn everything off, go live on a fucking island with no internet and be done with it. Live happier, man. Because if I wanted to not be as miserable as I am as a Bears fan, I wouldn't watch games. But guess what? I fucking love it. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do, dude? Just do what I say or fucking live with it.
Football is America. I wanted to, yeah.
America is football. Football is America.
Football,
Let's
and football
go.
is America. And if you don't like it, you can kiss your candy ass all the way back to wherever you came from.
All right, like Kyle said,
Dwayne Johnson. Can you
Dwayne
smell?
the Rock
is cooking.
Johnson is cooking. And like Kyle said, that is all we will say on that. But I feel like we needed to comment on it because something that happened. And Cam Newton said some crazy wild shit earlier that we talked about too. But Kyle, let's end it off with the chives with your white guy, Kyle.
All right. Right as we get into it, just quick reminder, one positive thought a day can change your whole day. Try to keep those thoughts positive. All right. Chives for the day. Russell Wilson is discriminated against.
By Rashard Mendenhall?
Russell Wilson is a devout Christian, and I think that's why people don't like him.
Oh, now, not only are we getting into race, we're getting into religion now, baby.
Let's just pour it on.
Let's fucking do it.
He is constantly like, no one is ever like, oh, I hope Russ does well. I'm telling you, I see so much hate. Like that Subway, those, like, when you really think about those clips of like, we make fun of it, like, because it's funny, but that Let's Ride, because we're not really making fun of him. Like, I actually like, it's like, let's fucking ride. You know what I mean? Like, I like it.
Right,
but
bro.
at the same time, like, he was so bullied last year, man.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that is legitimately like,
by me.
By everybody. The Danger Witch, like, and I get it, like he doesn't do himself any favors with his cringiness, but at the same time, like getting bullied by millions of people, that's gotta, like, he's still a person that, has to live. And I know how sensitive I am sometimes to hate. I couldn't imagine just being attacked like by the millions. And I look at it and I'm like, man, people should be so happy that Denver and Russ are doing better. But not only does nobody give a shit, I'm going to show you an example of why this isn't even something the NFL is entertaining that people should want. Now, they just released a new article called Underdogs to Root For late in the season. Underdogs to root for: 2 coaches, 3 teams, 4 players. All right. Jake Browning, number 1. Number 2, Tampa Bay. Number 3, Kyren Williams. Number 4, Seattle. Number 5, D'Amico Ryans. Number 6, Buffalo.
Buffalo, come on.
Number 7, Antonio Pierce. Number 8, Tommy DeVito. And number 9, Ivan Pace Jr., the linebacker for Minnesota. Russell Wilson, Denver Broncos don't make the list at all. Now, starting 1 and 5, and being in playoff, to me, is like the ultimate underdog story, especially when Denver had the worst offense last year in the NFL. I don't think there's a better underdog team to root for than the Broncos. I can make a case for that outside of being a fan, and they don't even make a list. Jake Brown, the Bills, come on. Let's put some respect on Russ. And I'm telling you, I don't think the NFL, I'm not saying I don't think they want people to want him to be good, but they don't advertise it. Like if you even look on NFL, they have Denver with like a 2% chance of making the playoffs. Every other website I check is way higher. They're like already like ruling them out and stuff like that. So I think if we,
because they know the script,
and I'm worried about the refs blowing it, because now I see clearly that they don't want this to, you're like, worst tribes I've ever done.
No, it's not. And on this episode of How to Make It All About the Broncos, that was great.
I'm just saying, like, it's kind of weird that there's all these underdog stories and they don't even make the list. Like, is that not an incredible underdog story? How is that not on the list? Is it just not possible?
And I've been like impressed, and I feel like the entire NFL has been impressed when the Broncos were winning 6 of 7 and they're, like you said, back in playoff contention. It just seems kind of like what you said with Russ, just how corny he can be, and like sometimes like how bad they can be, like on the offensive side still, you know what I mean? Or even on the defensive side, like the defense gave up a ton of points for the Lions, shit like that. You know what I mean? Like you guys are still that underdog, and like how you said, almost a quintessential underdog story, like the Lions were last year. And you guys don't get talked about. Like
everyone loved the Lions last year. Everybody loved them. Like it was awesome. The Lions were good again. We are the second longest playoff drought in the NFL right now.
Wow.
So if you want to talk about like taking a long time to get to the playoffs, like we're on that list. And yeah, I mean, and when you consider that if Russ did take this team to the playoffs, he would be a candidate for comeback player of the year. And you're still not even adding that into your top 10 underdog stories at this point in the season.
Bitches.
I'm like, come on, man. Come on. So yeah, we're gonna be in this together as one big fan base here at Only Football. We're gonna watch the NFL's. We're gonna collect Roger Goodell tears, and he is gonna be pissed because there's nothing he can stop. Denver wins their next 3. Russ is gonna cook in the playoffs.
Broncos country.
Let's ride.
Let's ride. And of course, Broncos country.
Let's
ride. And of course, Bills chives. There actually is such a thing as too much meat on a pizza.
I knew. I don't like my pizza to be covered with too much stuff. I like sausage, jalapeno, pepperoni. That's it. I want some spice. I want some pepperonis. Not too much. I hate the blanket. No shakaroni.
And you
I just want it to be spread nice. Maybe 4 pepperonis per slice.
You fucking fascist.
And then the cheap sausage, not the nice Italian sausage.
No.
Papa John's, that stuff that we don't know what it is. That stuff. I want that. The stuff on your Tombstone pizza, the Tombstone sausage. That's what I want when I eat pizza.
He's like, the shit that looks like rocks. I want that one.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. It's like 100%. Easy to chew.
100%. Well, that was our episode, Week 16 predictions. We talked about Rashard Mendenhall, and of course, we're always ending with the chives with Kyle. What an exciting week we have ahead of us, Kyle. And not only this week, but the next 3 weeks are going to be exciting football. All of it is going to be meaningful, no matter who's playing who, or unless you're the Jets and the fucking, who else are they playing? The Jets and the Giants. Unless you're those teams or whatever it is, you're probably not playing meaningful football. It doesn't matter. And if you're the Panthers, Jesus Christ, God bless you. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Always a blast to have you guys in the comments. We had a ton of you guys in the comments today. Bill, we had Nick, we had Crafty, we had KC, We had who else, Kyle? Who else did we have in here? I think we had Ginger at one point. Ginger for sure was in here at one point. Lil Lee. Everybody was in the stream too. Edub. We appreciate all you guys being on the stream, commenting, interacting with us. And honestly, you guys make us laugh. Like, we'll see the comments and we'll just chuckle over here. So if you ever see us chuckling and one of us is making a serious point, know that we're probably looking at the comments and being like, fucking Bill. So,
damn it, Bill.
Yeah, damn it, Bill. So
Making
thank
us
you.
break character.
We're supposed to be serious, guys. So again, appreciate all you guys. And please like the video. Please share the video. Tell your family, tell your friends about the Only Football Podcast. We're getting close to 500 subs, and it is just going to go up from there. Like Kyle at the strip club, it's only going up from there. So where can you follow us on X? Top 5 on X? You can follow me at And Now Rick on X, and you can follow the Only Football Podcast X page at Only Football KR. We're working on, getting all the social medias lined up. Kyle, where can they follow you?
Definitely follow me at Football Only Podcast, because it's a party over there. That's FTBLONLYPODCAST, and join the party. It's going to be crazy. There's going to be Bronco stuff everywhere. There's going to be hearts coming out of the sky. It's going to be awesome.
Oh, Kyle, I love you, brother. And always a pleasure.
See you.
See ya.